Palpatine, Grandmaster bad guy of the Star Wars universe, killed Padme. And I'm gonna lay it out for you to show why this Star Wars theory makes a lot of sense. In the end, you may well agree with my certain point of view. Well, hello there! My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now on to today's topic. Padme was killed by Palpatine. Padme, why'd she have to die? Perhaps today we can come to a better answer to this question. In the last video on this subject, we looked at a number of the more visible potential explanations for her death, and in the end, none of them seemed to work. If you haven't seen that video, click on that link in the top right corner, or follow the link in the description down on below. Padme didn't die from physical trauma, or a broken heart, or from losing the will to live. So what does explain how she could have died, but also led to the medical droid saying, medically, she's completely healthy. For reasons we can't explain, we're losing her. How about having the life essence drained out of her using the dark side by Palpatine? Certainly possible for a medical droid to miss that. This theory does not originally come from me, but was popularized and well documented by RetroZAP in a blog post. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see their take on the theory. Let's look at this point by point. And fair warning, Star Wars spoilers ahead. 1. Other explanations have been ruled out. Go see my first video. I ruled out 4 different possible explanations for why she died, plus a number of other ones that the droids would have picked up on. 2. The dark side might have been undetectable. The droids wouldn't have been able to detect the use of the Force to drain Padme's life force. This seems like a reasonable assumption to me, and I don't know anything in canon that contradicts it. If you do, go ahead and let me know down in the comments, of course, but I'm not aware of anything that would contradict that and say that the droids would have been able to detect it. 3. Palpatine could influence life itself. In Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine talks with Anakin at the big ol' bubble opera scene as follows. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? No, I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend. Darth Plagueis was a Dark Lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side that he could even keep the ones he loved from dying. He could actually save people from death? The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Well, what happened to him? He became so powerful. The only thing he was afraid of was losing his power, which eventually, of course, he did. Unfortunately, he taught his apprentice everything he knew. Then his apprentice killed him in his sleep. Ironic. He could save others from death, but not himself. In case it wasn't clear that Palpatine was referencing himself as being Plagueis' apprentice, he makes it even more clear later in the movie. So from this, we know that Palpatine most certainly had the ability to influence life, and be able to influence the midichlorians. 4. Palpatine could drain the life energy from others. In the latest movie, Rise of Skywalker, we see Palpatine clearly drain the life force from Rey and Kylo Ren, or Ben at that point, I suppose. He drains their life force and is bringing it into himself. So clearly, that heavily supports the theory we're talking about right now, a theory which predates Rise of Skywalker. 5. Palpatine can use the Force at long distances. In Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine detected that Anakin was in danger on Mustafar, while Palpatine himself was still on Coruscant. And this was right after his fight with Yoda, when you would think he'd be a little more drained. He also knows Padme was dead later in the movie, clearly indicating that he could detect it from where he was all the way to Polis Massa, or that he had caused it from where he was all the way over to Polis Massa. Now, in the sequel trilogy, episodes 7 through 9, Palpatine created and controlled Snoke, seemingly at quite some distance. Further, he was able to connect Rey and Kylo across huge distances, something that was beyond anyone else's power level, including Luke. Given this, it is at least possible that he may have been able to drain Padme's life force from a great distance. 5. Anakin was seriously hurt. Anakin was on the verge of death on Mustafar after his fight with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan left him for dead, not imagining that he would somehow survive. But Palpatine was able to bring him back to life. Knowing that Palpatine knows how to use the dark side to save people from dying, and that it's possible for Palpatine to drain the life force from others to make someone else stronger, it seems plausible that draining someone else's life force could be used to give Anakin more strength and make sure that he survives. 6. Anakin and Padme's connection. Given the connection that Anakin and Padme had, it could be reasoned that taking the life force from Padme might be more powerful and more compatible for helping save Anakin than someone else. I'm not saying they're a force dyad or anything like in Rise of Skywalker, but still, that connection might very well have made it even more reasonable to take Padme's life force. 7. Palpatine has motive to kill Padme. Padme would have been the biggest threat to Palpatine's control over Anakin as Vader. She was a clear connection to his pre-Vader past as well. And Anakin loved Padme. Could he have left Palpatine over that? We'll never know. Could he have chosen to overthrow Palpatine if Padme was still alive? Again, we'll never know. But was he certainly defeated and a broken person upon Padme's death? Definitely. Even more so with Palpatine saying that he was the one that killed her. With all of this said, Palpatine has a clear and obvious, strong motive to kill Padme. 8. The heartbeats. Now this is an interesting one. In the movie, the heartbeats of both Padme and Anakin are audible during the scenes where Padme is dying and Anakin is being turned into Darth Vader. Then they both stop. Once Vader is complete with the mask on, then a single heartbeat starts. This feels like an audible way of telling us that Anakin and Padme died to give Vader life, and that would certainly play into this theory. Now here's a possible bonus number 9. It doesn't quite follow with everything else, but at the same time it supports the general idea. Because there is also the thought out there that Palpatine could have set in motion Anakin, as Vader, draining the life force from Padme. This would mean that Palpatine wasn't actually lying when he told Vader that he killed Padme in his anger. It was true after all, from a certain point of view. It would also change Vader's interpretation of having felt Padme being alive to being a recent feeling, rather than way back on Mustafar. Now, I don't think this is necessary, that's why it's a bonus number, and I think it feels like it could be a bit of a stretch, but it also seems possible. Now, just for a reminder, the conversation between Palpatine and Vader went a little like this. "Lord Vader, can you hear me?"
"Yes, Master. Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she all right?"
I'm no James Earl Jones, I'll just tell you.
"It seems in your anger, you killed her." I couldn't have. She was alive. I felt it."
Palpatine knowingly smiles.
"No!"
So there you have it. 8 points, and a bonus potential point, in support of the theory that Palpatine killed Padme. The biggest weakness in this theory is the great distance at which the draining had to take place. But we have seen Palpatine pull off impressive force feats at great distances, so perhaps this is possible too. After all, remember what Sherlock Holmes said. When you have eliminated all which is impossible, then whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Although, in all fairness, there are probably some other possible answers sitting out there as well that we just haven't seen or thought of. What about my opinion on this in the end? I like it better than any other explanation I've heard yet. So until someone comes up with a better theory, I'm going with Palpatine killed Padme. Case closed. But what do you think? Does this theory hold water from Camino, or is it like the sand of Tatooine slipping through our fingers? Let me know down in the comments. I'll always try to respond to everyone's comments as best I can. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, don't forget to come back for tomorrow's video. And if you haven't done it yet, click the subscribe button and ring that bell. Now have a magical day, and may the Force be with you. Always.